wired what I need to wire, and basically for this deck, even though this is like a super, media player, the stock deck, all it is it's battery, positive, ground, negative, and then the 4 speakers. Whatever else is in the deck and the wiring harness, if it's not there in the deck versus and not in the wire, or vice versa, you just don't wire it up. So basically I just cut off these wires so they don't touch or anything like that. You don't really need to tape them because they're not going to touch even if they go side by side like that. And then basically I'm just gonna, like, instead of taping it up, because for every installer that has to unwind, I mean, you could do that, I'm just gonna tie wrap it and maybe tape this little section so it doesn't touch anything electrical. But basically it's just gonna be like this, simple as that. Just like tie wrap it, right, just like that. You notice I've taped off the remote wire there that we won't use. The other thing too is that I'm exposing the fuse here, so you can easily take it out or replace it later if you need to. Not that you should, but if your deck ever overpowers itself like that, see? And then basically cut off the ends. Be careful not to cut any wires. And again, I'll tape this end, and it's clean. Now we're gonna bezel this. We're gonna adjust this trim with this Dremel tool. We gotta be careful because basically I've put the deck in here to see if it fits, and I've got to take it all the way to the bottom here. But these edges can just go flush to the edge, and the top's the same. You just gotta get rid of the lip, right? So it's just being careful with it. We're gonna need to. It's gonna be tight, so I'll probably just have to go like that, and then back side. No, that's not very big. And then basically probably take it off that way. I mean, that's probably better to do it from the back side. And I know that, see, I've scored it a little bit, but I know about here is where it's gonna be cut off, so I'm just gonna do it here. And be careful because you don't want to cut yourself when you do this either. Basically you're scoring it here. Watch you don't cut yourself. I know that my lap is right under this, so I'm not gonna push it all the way through and cut myself. I'm just gonna score it for now. Be very careful when you do this. So you'll notice that basically I've cut through it, and this part here I could probably just bend off here because I've cut through both kind of thing. So I'm just gonna do that, and then basically use the, see, there it cracks off. This side I didn't really do the same, but I could probably do the same. Just kind of bend off and then just finish the cut. See, basically I gotta get all the way to this line, so I'll just finish it off with the Dremel. And then do the same to the top. Right, now that I've bezeled or Dremeled all this thing, it fits. I've tested it, but now I have to put this thing on, this case cover, because it makes it nice and clean. And then put these things in there as well, so that they fit. Oh, and I just realized that I'll probably have to bezel out all of it. But let's just see. Dremel, I meant. So. There's that. Okay, so there's screws here that I've got this kit came separate, but the screws came with the deck. It's weird because it used to be that all decks came with these brackets, but I guess it's getting cheap. So I'm gonna screw this in and then slip it in there, and if it doesn't fit, I'll just re-Dremel to make it fit. I finally got the deck in. Basically, I like it flush. Only makes sense. And this this bracket thing kind of is not the greatest because basically the clips have to clip on, and when I cut away with the Dremel with the plastic, you know, I cut a little bit too much. So what I had to use is just create a little brackets, a little metal bracket thing here, clip to be able to catch on the thing. I just used like a hose clamp that I took apart, right here, like a hose clamp. It was a circle ring hose clamp. Just took it apart, and then I just cut half of it and half of it, and basically drilled a hole into the plastic so it stick, and put a screw into it on the other side. So now it's pretty sturdy. Before it was like pretty loose, so it shouldn't be a problem now. It won't come out because this whole thing goes in together into the car. So you'll never have to take the deck out without taking this bezel thing. I have everything connected. I've connected this wire that we set up, and basically it's just plug and play. So this is what makes these harnesses easy. So I'm gonna plug that in, and the radio, and that should give me radio. Right. So there's my deck. I'm gonna turn on to accessory. Car turns on with the battery. There, the deck turns on, and this deck is completely touchscreen. So, you know, basically we have power, speakers. There you go. Right in the radio. It doesn't matter what channel. You know, none of these other channels work, but you scan it, right? And so there you go. Now, what I normally do is check to see if I can get my camera going before I can install my camera. Got my camera wired up for power. This is why I usually use tape, because, you know, we can kind of go back and like try to play with it. You know, when you do this live, you kind of want to make sure that the positive and negative is pretty far away from each other, not touching, or taping. But I'm just going to do it like this because I'm really careful. So the camera's here, plugged it in. I'm not sure why they got an extra wire here for power. Maybe I'll see. I got it plugged in for video. So this should work. It's just I got to figure out the setting on the deck, the media session, to see if I can see video. I usually like to test the video before I install it. That way, you know, you're not wasting time making sure that it works first before you run the wires. It's always a good idea. We basically got the camera hooked up, like I said before. Now it's just a matter of finding out where the camera is, and most decks like this can just go right to a camera. And there you go. So we got camera, we know it works. Now I'm going to run the wire and then set up. So that other extra red wire was useless. Like, it does nothing for me. I will have to set up the wire to the brake light, and then there's no e-brake, so park brake I might have to set up as well, but we'll see. This is an automatic, so it's a little different. We got the camera set up. We're just going to test to see if it works prior to wiring it up. And look, I'm just going to go through the stereo deck and find a setting where I can go look for a camera. There it is. The camera works. So I know now that this is how I have to set it up, and I just got to run the wire. Is mounting this camera, so I've pre-drilled holes to mount this here. And I run the wire right behind the license plate, and then basically you got to tap into the rear light. There's just screws on the side here, and behind the tailgate there's some screws. Pull it off. And I'm just going to tap the power, the reverse light to the lamp to signal on when the camera turns on. And I run a wire to my deck for the power. That's going to connect to this, just make it easier. And that's it. That's how the camera works. So you just mount it and then tie it. And the wires went underneath pretty much through the gap here to the channels of the other wires. I'm going to tie wrap it later and bring it all the way up to where basically underneath the firewall here there's a grommet with a hole, and other wires are running, so that's what. And then bring it all the way up to the deck up here. That's it. I'm underneath the back of the truck now. This is where the camera wire comes from the license plate here. So
I just connected the power and the video that I ran. I'm gonna tape it up because it's kind of underneath the car and just exposed. So I'm gonna tape it up so the weather doesn't get to it, and tuck it right in here, tie wrap it kind of thing, right in the back of the channel, the bumper. The wires all go up there to the light, which I'm gonna hook up for the reverse, and that should be it. I ran a spare wire, 4 conductor wire. One is for power, it's going to be for my deck, and goes right to the camera. The other wire, this yellow one, I used for the reverse backup light. And so you have to determine which one's positive. And basically you just take your meter, set it on DC, which is that one, not the squiggly, that's AC, DC. And when you know, these 2 wires here, they're the same color. I cut them, and then you have to pretty much have somebody to go into reverse, have the car stopped with somebody pressing the brakes, but then the reverse light will come on, and then you meter it, and then basically when the meter is positive, and you have the red one on that side, that is positive. So you're taking the positive wire to go back to your deck for the reverse light on your stereo system for the reverse camera. That's it. All right, so install's complete. Basically, just put everything back together, and in the back, plug it all back in. I ran on top here a mic for talking on the phone and stuff, and basically you just run the wire along the top there. You have to take these this clips pop off, and take this screws off here, and then this thing comes off, and just hide the wire underneath, and then run it underneath to go through back up to the deck. But it works. And then the reverse camera, I was able to install it, and it works as well. And it just taps right off the back reverse light. So basically when you put it into reverse, like the car into reverse, the camera goes on. When you bring it back into park, it turns off. Easy.